So Robin and I, on my way walking down here in those few minutes, we usurped everything. So what we are going to be doing today is we're going to have a brief chat. We're going to have a brief explanation of who we are. I said brief, people. I'm looking at you all on a camera down here. Brief. Brief. 45 seconds. And then we're going to talk about some real basic stuff on the whole thing of casting, post-production, production. I have some really, really cool, probably pre-alpha links that I can show you on my screen, on my phone and on my laptop of the casting abilities and skills hub, which is going to be a really big important thing for all of you at some point. Some of you have already seen it. Carol's going, yeah, that's really cool. Karen, we've got someone who loves it already. So we'll be able to show you that. I can show you those things. I'd love it if you all came and snuggled a bit further forward. When we do ask questions, so we're going to have these bits and pieces, it's all up to you to ask questions, lots of questions. There is a camera over in the back corner there, which is what our Zoom people can see. So when you ask a question, say who you are, what your role is in the industry, and talk to the camera so our lovely Zoom people can see you. Right, so I'm going to do my quick introduction and set the tone. I'm Shirley, voice actor, voice director. I live in Tasman. I work remotely, mainly in the US. I've coached with at least 2 people on here, talked with Karen quite a bit, actually 3 people because Emma as well, and I've worked with Robin. And I got into the industry because I needed a DVD player and I went to the warehouse and came back with a PS3, got Mass Effect 2, and here I am. And Chloe, that set the tone. This is how fast we're doing it.
Chloe, a professional full-time New Zealand voice actor based in Auckland. I do everything out of my beautiful $90,000 recording studio, which I love so much. I trained as an actor in drama school 10 years ago. Then I did also a Bachelor of Screenwriting and tried to get out of this industry, and then it just kept pulling me back. And so 3 years ago, I set out and just thought I'm going to dive straight in, and here I am.
Yay. Okay, so going on the screen, I'm going to go from that's the same thing, from my top left, because Karen is really, really important. One of the co-founders of Skills Hub. Here it is on my hoodie. Woo! QR code down here if you want to join up. So Karen, quick introduction, who you are, how you fit in. Unmute.
I just killed some of my time. Thanks for having me. Jennifer sends her regrets. Unfortunately, she had a last-minute appointment that she had to get to and she couldn't reschedule. So I'm Karen Duyella. I'm one of the co-owners of Skills Hub, and Jennifer's my sister. Our whānau on our dad's side is Nunatuhivit, which is an Inuit from Labrador, and I'm currently residing on the traditional territories of the Wasanich people on Vancouver Island. I had the privilege of visiting Auckland in April and just love the city. It's absolutely gorgeous. I have a dear friend, Matua Tau, who's my mentor, and I was gifted a shawl, my shawl. Its name is Kurawaka Tapu by Feafia Hansen. So I feel somewhat connected to your territory, and I absolutely love it. So I'm here to be of service and support, and thank you, SJ, and everybody for bringing us all together.
You're welcome. Thank you. We're in Wellington, the other end of the North Island.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
But next time you're in Auckland, I will come say hi too.
We're there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I'm going to go down to the phenomenal Trina, who has created such a buzz within the community. People are going, oh my God, Trina. It's all you. Yes, I know. They love you.
Thank you for that. Trina Jensen, originally from Denmark, came to America to go to college, studied theater, like so many of you, and currently work as a voice director and as an acting coach and teacher, and also Alexander Technique teacher. I have worked on games such as Horizon Zero Dawn, Desperados 3, The Sinking City, most recently Rise of the Ronin. I teach a lot of mocap and PCAP internationally and here in LA. And that's about it.
Yay. And she's an awesome mocap, PCAP teacher.
What is it? Kia ora, right?
Kia ora. Kia ora. I have been coaching them. Yay. Jeremy, moving to you. Also another awesome human who is, yay.
I'm on the Millennium Falcon, everybody. Hi, I'm way up above you. My name's Jeremy Hall. I'm an actor, director, coach. Really short, I was in game dev for a long time with Electronic Arts and then Insomniac Games. I worked on Medal of Honor in Electronic Arts, and then with Insomniac, Ratchet and Clank, and Fuse, and Sunset Overdrive, finishing up with Spider-Man. I'm now a freelance director and have worked on Ghost of Tsushima, Ghostwire Tokyo, Need for Speed, Fortnite, Marvel's Avengers, Minecraft, what else? Valorant, League of Legends, things like that. Yeah, that's me.
Yay. Woo! And Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma Strajarko Kiora, and I, like Trina, like many people, I have a background in theater. I have a bachelor's in theater, and was living in New York City thinking that I was going to do that. And I fell into voice acting through audio drama, which I love very much, and I'm happy to talk about that too if anybody's interested in that. And then from there, that was 10 years ago. So I've been voice acting for 10 years, and I now live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I have my remote little booth here. And I was saying the other day, I realized that I have worked with devs, companies, individuals on every continent except Antarctica. So I love being a voice actor, a remote voice actor. And I don't have as impressive credits, but I am Kate Pryde in Marvel Moves X-Men series. And a lot of people know me as Commander Minkowski on Wolf 359, which Robin is repping for me. Thank you.
Yay. And then we go to our principal digital content specialist at Oracle.
I think
Robin.
that kind of summarizes what I am and who I do. I cast for the first time for a project on Skills Hub. It was my favorite thing in the world. I get consistently amazing people, and so I will continue to cast through it. And I'm an indie dev in my free time, I think, and I'm in Georgia. So you can go ahead and do your worst Southern accent with me.
Oh, bless your heart. Right, so that's the introductions. We've all introduced ourselves. Quick thing about, I've just had a brain fade.
Did you want to? Did you have a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, we did. We're abandoning it.
That's good.
Did you want to show the Skills Hub casting thing, or did you want to start with questions?
Let's just start with some questions. So all of us work remotely. What are questions? As you can see from Emma, she has a homemade booth in her wardrobe. Woohoo! Some of us have professional booths. Some of us have ones which are a lot cheaper. I have the $2,000 version from Bunnings and made it 10. I can tell you how to make those. Yes. So burning questions, and I'm sure Nathan's going to have a burning question because he usually does. We're picking on the people who we already know. So what are the burning questions? Nathan, Phoenix,
And we've got our lovely Judah who's going to help us hand around the roving microphone. So
Ooh.
Thank you, Judah.
Who's got the question first? Easy. Say hi to Robin. Stand up. Face the...
Hi, Robin. It's me
By the way-
again. It's me. You followed me on LinkedIn, remember?
I did, because you're super cool.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Burning question. Anything?
Anything about voice acting and directing, casting, production, scripting.
Okay.
What happens when in the studio, all those fun things. We can tell you lots, but we're at the point where I think just...
Okay. So some of my favorite VA roles have been in the fighting game genre. I imagine a lot of that requires a lot of shouting. There's a lot of shouting. It's a very loud genre. I have to turn down my volume like a lot. I was just wondering, I don't know if you guys know it, like any games like that, well, except for like the obvious ones like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. But did you guys have any like interest in VAing in a role like that?
We love work. You've heard me death scream.
Did you want a particular person to ask that easy? Like, did you want
Any of those particular people?
Yeah, all five of you, I guess. Okay. You don't even have to VA it. You could even direct it. I was like, how would you guys go about directing it if you're a director more, you know?
That's a good question, and I can see Jeremy going.
Jeremy, did you wanna
Yeah, sure. I did Call of Duty mobile. I did some directing for that game, so I know some shouty military stuff. Yeah, it's you just have to know vocal limits. We talked about vocal stress at the last thing too, but basically knowing, that it's going to be vocally stressful, planning for that, shorter sessions, right? Which didn't used to be the case, but back in the day it was 4 hours, which is your standard length of a session. Didn't care. Producers didn't know about vocal stress. Actors didn't say anything about it because they didn't want to lose the gig. So you had a lot of vocal damage, which was horrible. Yeah. But since then we've gotten a little better. Voice directors definitely know about this. We're the advocate for the actors who want to make sure their voices are taken care of. They're not injured in any way. So I always, 2 hours max. I try to, really schedule the heavy stuff later, minimum repetition, maximum description as a director. So they really know what they're going to do before they start firing away. The worst thing you can do is go, I don't know, go for another one. I don't know. You have to know what you want, and you have to have them just do it succinctly especially when it's that stressful, because it is called upon. We're still working on that. I'm sure Trina has knowledge about that too. We're still working on ways to get that out there that's not vocally stressful, but it is, in essence. And so it's always a matter of finding that and knowing the performer. Some performers can go longer than others. And hoping that they know the score going in. That's a big deal. I want to make sure that agents know, and actors, you guys know going into the booth what you're in for. Getting the scripts beforehand, or at least a description, a length, an amount of vocal stress, and things like that. So yeah, knowledge, that's basically it. Yeah, Trina.
Yeah, I think what I want to add, and not absolutely everything that Jeremy said, and also one of the things I like to do, and it may not be as relevant with military, because, if you have to shout military style over combat kind of sound, then it just has to be loud. But when it comes to like death screams or just efforts and even sort of expressions of fear or anger or whatever in short bursts, I always find it really interesting to try and find how are some of the quiet ways in which I can express that, so that the player doesn't just get a bunch of yelling in their ears, right? Like, anger sometimes comes out between your teeth, right? And it's not necessarily loud. And so there's a lot of, I think, room for nuance that a lot of the time, at least in my experience, the devs don't necessarily think about. And sometimes I've had to even sell them a little bit on the idea, like maybe we don't want this much shouting. Maybe we want to express some of this with different colors and different nuances.
Yeah.
And again, it's not always relevant, but when it is, I think that's a good way to think about it, so that, again, not so much shouting.
And I worked for about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I worked for Square Enix, and it wasn't their fault. It really wasn't. They're amazing, but they had a company that I won't name, a studio that's newer working for them, and bless their heart, they did save all the exertions and harsher stuff to the end of the session, but it was like a 3-hour session, and over an hour of that end part was all this exertion. And I found my script, which is pain standard. They wanted 10 strong, 10 medium, and 10 weak. Choking, 10 medium, 10 strong, 10 weak. Gagging, coughing, seething, being electrocuted, jumping, landing, straining, breathing. They wanted 10 strong, medium, and weak of each of these. Disgust, dying, death by standard death, whatever that is, choking death, horror death, fall death, and being stabbed. And I think if I was able to tell them, I would not say 10 of each. I would say 3. And they did say that they get some amazing actors who just can't do exertions and efforts to save themselves. And so they were like, oh, actually, you're really good at exertions. And I think if they'd known that I could have done it in 3 takes, I was wrecked after that. And I was telling these guys a couple of days ago that this particular company, they didn't at any point say, is your voice okay, Chloe? They were just like, wow, you can scream, I was like, yeah, but I also need to rest. So because I was so eager to work for them and I didn't want to lose future jobs, I didn't say, can I have a 5-minute break? I just need to hydrate and vocal rest. I would have loved it if they could have said, look, Chloe, you've had extreme stress on your vocals. Let's just break maybe 3 minutes every half hour, just take downtime, gargle, whatever. So I think it's, as Jeremy was saying a couple of days ago, it's often on the side of the director to take care of the voice actor, because we struggle to advocate for ourselves sometimes, but it's a partnership for sure.
And if you're wanting someone to do lots of screams and yells and things like that, death metal vocalists, I can see all of them going, yeah. So that's the big thing. They're the use.
Robin, go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, so I did an animation once where I had to fall for 30 seconds, and it was supposed to be intentionally a long time. and it was supposed to be funny. So I found that I had a hard time maintaining 60 seconds of screaming while falling. And so kind of in the middle, I just went and then started again, and they left it in the final take, and that was fun. I've done martial arts for 40 years. I would love to do fighting. I haven't gotten to do it, but I think that would be super fun. And I think the best efforts that I've ever heard from a female character is in Assassin's Creed, Ivor. She was so good. Usually when I play games, I'm like this total tough looking woman. And then if I jump, I'm like, and it makes me crazy. And so she really sounded like a woman really trying to do things. So hats off. If you make a game and have a tough woman and have her sound tough, I will 5-star every time.
Yay. Thank you.
I'll just add that, yeah, I'd be totally down to do a fighting game, especially if I were working with someone like Jeremy or Trina, who I know would take care of me. I've come across a couple like indie fighting games, and I've been a little tentative because they don't pay very well and they're probably not going to care as much. Not necessarily. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful indie devs out there, but a couple of these I got a weird feeling from. And I'll just add, that my partner has been playing a lot of Tekken, so it's in my brain a little bit. But what Trina was saying, absolutely, like it's not all just like yelling, screaming. There's a lot of nuance and layers and levels to it. So yeah, I think that'd be super fun.
Do you know who your husband mains?
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay. It's okay.
I know.
Do you have his UID?
June.
Oh, June.
Is a big
June.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, good. That was putting me on the spot there.
Putting you on the spot. Right. Next question, because I'm sure there's lots of awesome. Nathan's got one. To the corner of the back.
Hello again. I'm going to ask the question that I think a lot of people here would probably want to know. I know Chloe and I had a great conversation about this yesterday, but from you guys on the screen, I think a lot of the time when you're getting into voice acting, getting into game dev, indie dev, we often sort of put the people that we sort of, for lack of a better word, like idolize or look up to in the industry on a bit of a pedestal, and we find like networking and actually trying to just be like, hey, how you guys doing? My name's Nathan. Hi. Can be quite a bit of a struggle. So what my question would be is, what has been your experience, one, with making connections, and to bring it to Vic's talk, making meaningful connections within the community, but also what, if any, advice you can give on just meeting and communicating with some of the bigger guys in the industry to just get to know everyone,
like the voice actors and directors. Yeah.
And the other voice
casting
actors,
directors
and
your friends.
Okay, that one.
Do you professionals have, Trina?
Go ahead, Trina.
I actually approach all professional networking very similarly to how I build relationships as a human being, as a friend. Obviously less some of the personal details, but by that I mean is that I try to get to know the human being. I try to reveal a little bit about who I am as a human being. I do not do the asking for something really quickly. I make sure that I don't do that. It naturally for me to do that anyway, so it's not something I have to work on. But sometimes I'm approached by people like you get that social media connection, and then, immediately they ask for something. I don't do it that way because I find it a little bit annoying, right? Because then it's just so obvious that there's this sort of agenda. And I try to first see, like, do we have chemistry as humans? Do we have anything we can talk about? Would it actually be fun to be stuck in a very small space with you for 4 or 8 hours, which is what recording is, right? Because I don't really want to be with somebody that I think is obnoxious, in a 4-hour session. So it ends up being very similar to just, how I meet humans, period. And I'm a little bit shy, and I am identified as an introvert, right? So I'm not so great at that, just walking up to people cold. So I tend to just, ask a lot of questions about them, because that way I don't have to talk about me until I get comfortable. So those are my way of doing it.
Anyone else got Any suggestions, Karen? I mean, you work.
Yeah.
Emma.
Just real quickly, I'll just recommend. Many of you might have heard of or know Julia Bianco Scheffling. I've worked with her a lot. She's a wonderful casting director and gives a lot of great advice about networking. In her book, The Art and Business of Voice Acting for Video Games, or just acting for video games, and she talks about this a lot too. Of like you're saying, Trina, you know, how can you be of service? You know, it's not asking for, you know, and it is, you want some kind of authentic connection. You don't want to just come in and say, oh my God, I love you so much. Can you get me a job? Like, because that's not gonna work most of the time. But if you can find an authentic connection and say, hey, this is how can I help you? How can I be of service to you? That's
How can we collaborate?
What's that?
How can we collaborate?
Exactly. It's a two-way relationship. And I think kind of, I'm also like Trina, I'm an introvert. And so I don't love doing a lot of direct marketing and cold emailing and stuff like that. So I do try to find just authentic connections and things that we're both interested in.
Yeah, and I've been talking about this kind of thing with a lot of other voice actors for a while, and it's not like being a salesperson when you kind of, you know, knock on the door and say, buy this, it'll be great for you, kind of great for your home, this new really fangled vacuum cleaner, whatever. It is a service industry. I'm in a service industry, and I have a better frame of reference than a salesperson. It's my dad's a plumber, and he's just got, you know, such a hard job, but it's a trade that he is being of service to people. He's such a humble man who can come in and be of service, and it's a working relationship. You've got to work around their time schedule, their deadlines, their various different, you know, you've got to work in their home with their vision for their thing, and it's like going, I'm just here to serve you and bring your vision to life, and I'm not here to sort of somehow get glory or get a cathartic experience for my insecurities by being heard and seen. I'm here to serve your vision and to bring your vision to life. So it's much more like a trade than it is a salesperson. But I think knowing that you're bringing value to the other person's vision and just going like, yeah, I'm a quality actor who can really bring your character to life. And if I can't, then I'll try to find in my network maybe someone who can. You know, there's word of mouth voice actors helping, you know, spread the word, because we all want, at the end of the day, the story is king, and making the vision come life means that maybe I'm not the best for a really cutesy little anime girl, you know? I'm not, but I want that vision to come to life, and I wouldn't serve that story as well as someone else would. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, it's about serving the other person, I think.
Robin texted me this morning, all boats rise together.
That's right.
Wisdom from Robin.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, Bob Bergen, didn't he say that? That a rising tide floats all boats.
Everybody says it.
Everybody says it. Everybody.
That was her pep talk to me this morning.
No, Robin said it first.
Yeah.
Robin said it first this morning.
Robin said
I
it
get
better.
the question from a super fan perspective because I get it. So I went to a big voiceover conference, and luckily I don't watch too many cartoons, so I didn't know any of those people. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's so and so, so," and I was like, "Hey, you know, not a big deal." I am a super fan of video games. You know, I have a Mass Effect jacket and shirt and dress and stickers on my car. And I have played Ghost of Tsushima a bazillion times, and I love it. And Ghostwire Tokyo is one of my favorite games. But when I meet these famous people, I just try to be cool. I try to think it's somebody I might work with. I put on my professional corporate thing because I believe, and this might be a lie, but I believe that people tend to file people in like super fan category and peer category. And I would like to be a peer. I am a super fan. I am. It took me a long time. I knew Jennifer Hale a long time before I came out to her as a super fan. But, you know, because I wanted her to see me first as just a normal person who doesn't wear a dress that in the game she was made, you know. But it's, you have to be cool, right? Because they are just people, and people are flocking to them, you know, and they do want something from them. I accidentally sat at lunch at one conference next to this really famous voice actor whose name I can't recall, but he's really, really famous. And I didn't know where he was, and I was just hungry, and I was like, "Hey, welcome to Atlanta," because it was in Georgia. And we chatted a little bit, and then we were just eating. And I saw so many people come up to him like, "How can I be famous?" I mean, these are the first words out of their mouths. They're just accosting them, and I'm like, "Are these people bothering you?" I had no idea what was going on. And then later they're like, "Oh, that's so and so." But I was kind of horrified by how much people wanted from him, like right there, that didn't even know him. Even people I know, I don't think I asked that much from. If you want to know a cool way to approach somebody, I made a show, and somebody who is an actor in Assassin's Creed messaged me in LinkedIn and said, "I love your show. The tune is so catchy. The intro song is so catchy," and they sang it. And I didn't even know who that was. And I looked up, I was like, "Oh, they're in Assassin's Creed." It was the coolest thing ever. So I think it's cool to send notes of appreciation, but without that transactional thing. Of course, now that, once she sent it, I'm like, "Oh, what has she done? Like, what could I hire her for?" So it was pretty smart. But she didn't come at me like, "Hey, hire me." She came at me like, "Oh, I really like this thing you did," and gave me an opportunity to hear her voice, which was really smart.
And if you come at them as a peer, because I used to work in the film unit, which is now Park Road Post. So I was working where they were doing a lot of those really, really big, beautiful digital desks, a lot of sound work, a lot of sound stages, stories I've heard. Some of them are really funny. But, I'm walking down the hallway, going down to get a coffee, or I think it was actually going to the toilet. And Sam Neill was there doing Century of Cinema. He was editing it. And I walked past and he looks at me and goes, "Hey." And I go, "Hey." Oh my God, Sam Neill said hello to me. And I forgot to pee. Got back to my desk and went, "I forgot to pee. Sam Neill said hi to me." So that does happen, but we are all peers. Everyone else I worked with there, we're just peers. One of the guys, met him a bit later at another thing that was organising, and he sat me down and said, "Hey, how are you?" This is a multi-Oscar winner. I couldn't remember his name. I didn't even know if he knew me. But this is what happens, is that we all get to know each other. And yeah, I thought Chloe was a really cool dude, and she's probably far too cool for me. Now I know she's as much as a doofus as I am, and it's just the best thing. But yeah, we all want you to succeed, so yay. Right. So yeah, now everyone's heard that Sam Neill made me forget to pee, and I've told him that too. Next question.
I could add, actually, I'm going to add a couple of things. As a family member,
Yes.
who's walked through the mall and, been stalked with my sister by people.
Yeah.
And, that type of stuff. And especially the hate towards women and voice actors and voice acting. We've had to deal with that as well. And then also part of Skills Hub. And I would say for somebody who is casting, who wants to meet people, start with your peers. That's your, you guys are all coming up together and at the same time. So start there. Keep in mind that by the time people get famous, they have worked their butts off. It has been 24/7 for years. And so respect that in that relationship. Gain your own confidence. Don't come off as desperate, because you can smell that away. So really firmly plant your feet, and that in itself will give you respect of the people that you want to work with. Give people permission to say no right off the bat. You need to be open to accepting the no. Respect their boundaries and check your entitlement. And I would say entitlement is one of the most challenging modern issues that we have to deal with. So check your entitlement at the door and fill your heart with gratitude and contentment, plant your feet strong, and just be open. Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Totally. Yep.
Thank you. It's great to know that a lot of the sentiments we shared yesterday were actually echoed by you guys as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Next on question.
This gentleman over here.
Phoenix. Yay.
Can I add one thing? To the last thing, just one thing. I just want to add that I don't want you to hear to not reach out, right? Like, definitely reach out, send the email, send the whatever, right? I just did a thing for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, right? And of course got a slew of emails afterwards saying thank you. And I am delighted with them. And I am delighted if they have attached their demos with no request for me to give them feedback on it. right? You're just giving me the demo. When I have time one day, I can sit and I can go through them and have fun with it. And, if I think it's great, then you'll get obviously filed away somewhere for future casting. But the ones that sort of irk me, right, are the ones, of course, that are like, would you give me feedback on it? It's like, no, I don't. You can hire me as a coach and I'd be happy to, right? But no, I don't want to do that right now for free. And if there's already a relationship, of course, I'd be happy to review your stuff, right? But then it's because we already know each other. So I just kind of wanted to just really distinguish that. But feel free to reach out. Send us your stuff. Don't be upset if you don't hear back, but we like receiving it.
Nothing
That's
ventured,
another
nothing
thing that
gained.
Julia always says is say in your email, no response required. It's a
that's
beautiful
good.
thing.
Good.
Kia ora, my name's Phoenix. I'm a game designer. I just wanted to ask, do you have any pre-voice recording rituals or warm-ups that you do before you actually go into a session?
That's a great question. I love that question.
Drink coffee.
Drink whiskey the night before, don't sleep very much, and yeah.
Don't warm up, don't hydrate, be late, be tardy. What are the other bad things that we don't do? Don't take any breaks, do all the scary, loud, screamy stuff. I don't know. People who do this a lot more than we do.
Emma, tell us.
Sure. I will. I have a few different rituals before. Sometimes I feel like a little bit of a diva because I do work with a lot of international clients, but I always request that we don't start too early in the day because I want enough time so that I can be awake, have fed myself, caffeinate and hydrate so that my voice and instrument and mind is in the right place. I personally use a little bit of my theater training before most sessions. I try to do a little bit of a physical warm up as well as a little bit of a technique that I'm trained in called Linklater, which is super necessary for me to kind of open up my instrument, be ready to go. So those are some free. I also like to listen to music in the booth and sometimes have a little dance party just to get my energy up. That's actually what I would recommend more than anything, more than any like specific vocal warm up or anything. Just get your body ready.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And I am, this is one of the questions. I'm like, if I ever get asked this on a panel, it's one of the ones I dread because I'm so lazy. I'm like the example of what not to do. I don't actually do much. I don't actually do a warm up at all. And similar to Emma, but I want to change my ways. I just have to say that I want to change my ways. But often I wake up and I'm obviously in New Zealand, my morning is America's like afternoon or late afternoon. I might wake up when America is at like 4 p.m. or even 5 p.m. And so I'm often waking up. The first thing I do is look at my phone in a state of panic. And then I'll get all these like emails, requests for jobs, bookings, audition requests, and they're all like ASAP, and 24 hours is an age in this industry. It is an age. And so I'm like, okay, I need to, reply within like 15 minutes, and send the job out to them within an hour of like getting with at least, like at a maximum within an hour of getting the email. And so I often I love that Emma, I would never say that you're a diva, Emma. That is self-care. That is actually you valuing yourself enough to know that if they want you, they're going to wait an hour for you. Like they're going to give you the luxury of time. I think for me, maybe it's insecurity still of me going, oh my gosh, I want them to like me, so I better give it to them fast, rather than valuing myself enough to know my instrument is my moneymaker and I so need to take care of it by doing these rituals and things. And I learned in my own drama school training, we did so much physical, so many different techniques for so many different warm-ups, so many different mouth tongue twisters and warm-up things and resonating chamber things. And I think, so I guess what I do is I jog, and that often I jog every morning and warm up my body, and that does a lot to warm up my voice because my voice comes out of my body. And so I think going to the gym or jogging sort of first thing in the day and often just singing. If I was going to really break it down, I'd probably jog, stretch a little bit as I do need to after my jog, and then just sing. And definitely hydrate, though. Shirley was saying, tell me what your doctor said about hydration?
My old GP said that if your pee looks like the colour of Sauvignon Blanc or Sprite, you're hydrated.
Anything darker than that, you're dehydrated and you need to drink. And that is, yeah.
And for me, I do, because I trained in opera when I was a lot younger, I do arpeggios, my husband looks at me going, "You are doing what? Why are you pulling those faces?" I'm warming up my face. La, 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 all sorts of dumb things that you have to do with your tongue. And also because I've done Trina's Alexander technique course, I do 5 minutes of active rest, and it just lets my body sink in. It lets me get really aware of what I'm doing. There's also preparations. What are my script notes that I've written? What animal? What theme song? What am I thinking about the character? Just reading through all that, but that, warming up this, and your face does a lot, and also just making sure I've got my water. What else might I need? Do I have straw phonation if I'm going to be doing a lot of work, which is where you blow bubbles? You know how when you were a kid and you got told, no, blow bubbles in your drinks? This is actually a really good technique for your vocal cords. So that's my kind of warm-up. I might walk out into the garden, do some stuff, and garden. I think that's our 10-minute call. Damn.
I think just to add on to that, I think that's a really good point too, Shirley, that in terms of like hydration, drinking a lot of water like an hour before your session is not going to really hydrate you. You need to hydrate like the day before or the week before, especially if it's going to be a really intense session. And yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, very true.
Lastly, real quick too, real fast. You can over warm up as well. I know people that have really if they have an intense session, they'll be in their car driving to the studio and just constantly going and getting louder and bigger and doing whatever. And they've taken a lot of their vocal health away before they even get to the session. So a warm up is a warm up, but it's not, don't go too far with it. You can go too far.
That is so good. I have not heard that before. That's good. Moderation is key, you guys. It's a rookie mistake. I bet young players, especially if they've had theatre training, go over the top. And yeah.
In Russia, I studied opera with a physicist who developed this system where you hit a note and then pull way back and then there's this whole system. Anyway, so I do that because I find that it's not loud, but it's precise and at different levels. And I feel like and I love to record in the morning because I think I sound like really deep, fantastic, and later in the day I kind of, I don't know what happens, but I really like it in the morning. So that's when I tend to record, but I do that sort of vocal warm up and I do stretching.
I just sound like I've drunk a bottle of whiskey first thing in the morning. More questions. We haven't got much time. Lee, awesome.
Yeah, testing. Okay. Hi, I'm Lee Hung. I just wanted to ask, I believe we talked a little bit about this yesterday regarding Genshin. I believe this is for Jeremy.
Yeah.
Text note though quick, I didn't direct Genshin. I know people that did, but I did not.
Oh, you know who did it? Okay. So when it comes to projects that originate with a non-English native stuff, for us, when I play Genshin, I noticed that some of the translations sound wrong, as in the way that it's pronounced is wrong, and I just want to know from a director's perspective, how do you decide what it sounds like compared to the native language, especially when it comes to names and stuff like that? Because I think one of the things that really stood out to me was at when it first came out, and Li Yue was pronounced Li Wei in English, and it gave a lot of us a little bit because I'm Singaporean, a lot of us speak Chinese as well, and we heard that and we were like, oh gosh, what was that? Right? So I just want to know how do you make that decision, and who's the one making the decision, and how do you get it right?
Yeah, you go for it, Jeremy.
I'll jump on it. Yeah, I've done a bunch of those, and it depends on the client, really. It's the developer that makes that decision. Ghost of Tsushima, very much into very specific, appropriate Japanese pronunciation. We had a Japanese expert named Yumi who was awesome in the booth the entire time, every session, and she would make sure you got pronunciation exactly as it was supposed to be. A game I'm working on right now is also Japanese based, but they're leaning more Western. They want a Western pronunciation of these names, which helps a lot of the Western actors. But we've had some. Actually, it's the same actor that was in Ghost of Tsushima did a session, and he's Japanese, so he speaks like he'll say Majima-san or whatever name it is, like exactly right, but. We have to say, no, hit the N harder, say it wrong, because the developer wants this name to be Western pronunciation. So it really depends on the developer, and you kind of go from there. But as long as you're staying consistent, that's the deal. That's the hard part.
I'll add a piece about staying consistent. What we've done a lot when I've worked is we will get reference. So we'll literally have somebody pronounce it the way it's supposed to be pronounced, like, place names and names and all of those things that sometimes are not even of this world, right? They're of the world of the game. And then we can play them, right? This is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is how it goes. And we have them on hand in the booth and can just play them as reference.
That happened on Thursday for those who were in the workshop. So you would have heard Jennifer do her pepeha, and she asked me to do a reference track for her so she got the correct pronunciation of Te Reo Māori. So that was... this is the kind of thing which we do. We help people to do these things properly, and we want to say the words correctly. I think we've got time for one more question. Judah, one more? Two more? Awesome. Who's next? Someone over this side who has...
We've got another question here. We've got a lovely... Yeah, you go for
Hey.
it. Oh, okay.
Team building. A lot of our workshop people are here on the front row, which is awesome.
Yeah,
They're going, we're going to help. We're kind of cool. They're part of our family now.
Kia ora, everybody. I'm Emily. I'm a narrative designer and a writer for my company. And earlier in the year, I got thrown into a VO session with no preparation. Shout out to Chloe. I worked with you and you were wonderful. Thank you so much for your patience and your kindness. You were amazing. When you are in a VO session with an inexperienced, nervous writer or narrative designer like myself, what is the bare minimum that you generally expect from that session? And also, how much free rein is too much free rein? It's always awesome to see an actor kind of riff on the script and do their own thing, but is there a limit to what you'd like in those circumstances?
I know Robin's got thoughts.
Yeah, so I write. I don't like it when people go super off script. Because there's a lot of thought put into the script and it goes to editors. And so sometimes my favorite is pre-life and post-life. If they say something before and after, I really like that. And sometimes I'll keep it. But if they're changing syntax or completely changing the words, it kind of, I would like them to stay in their lane a little bit, unless it's difficult to say. I mean, it's a collaborative thing. If I have written something poorly, then I'm happy to change it. But if they write their own adventure in mind, that's not my favorite.
And if you want to change something, it's always nice to kind of say, hey, can I make this more how I'd say it? I can see Emma's hand.
Emma.
Yeah, I was just gonna say on that. I always ask. Usually people will tell me, but I think Jeremy and Trina, you can attest to, in a lot of AAA games, they don't want you to mess with the script too much, depending on what it is, because it might be something that lots of people repeat exactly the same way, or so just make sure that you check in and ask. And there are certain projects I've been on where the writer will be like, oh yeah, do whatever you want with it, and then for Marvel, for example, they want you to say exactly what was on the page, even when it was a little hard sometimes. But I would say in terms of if you're a new director, because I have worked with a lot of new directors, basically what I am looking for is I'm looking for somebody to help me with context and situation more than with internal life most of the time, because if you can help me with the specificity of what is going on in this scene, what just happened, what my relationship to this person is, or to whatever it is, if you can help provide that kind of context, that kind of story context for me, That's the most important thing for me. And there's more to do as well, but I would say don't be too concerned with trying to, pull the right emotions out of an actor's performance, but give them the context. Even if you have to make it up yourself, because a lot of the times we do have to make it up ourselves.
Especially when we just get,
I would say,
especially when we just get an Excel workbook that says line, and that's all we get, a column of words that we have to say, and that's sometimes all you get. Trina's got a question.
Oh, could I say something to? So Emily and I worked on this awesome game. Thank you, Emily, for hiring me. If you want us to play it downstairs, Beyond the Stars. Plug. But the great thing about this particular character I was playing was beautiful Matilda. She speaks in a language, it's like Simlish. It's gibberish, but it's a particular kind of gibberish of the game. And so in this respect, there wasn't really a worry. The great thing is, there wasn't a worry about going off script in a way, because it was more about the emotion and the intention and less about the language or the pronunciation of things. I mean, that actually does come into it, especially when it's a more specific kind of gibberish. And so I think, but just knowing that the emotion, in fact, sometimes with gibberish characters that I've done, you're even more conscious of getting the language right, and like it's sometimes hard to act, and like you guys were doing the other day with like the accent and a language, and so yeah, but making sure that it's always about like the actor, a genuine emotion, a genuine motive, a genuine intention. And that kind of thing. But yeah, Trina, were you going to say something?
I think I might have lost it. Let's see. I think that I wanted to chime into what Emma was saying, in that I think the most important thing that the representative from the developer, whether it's a producer or a co-director or a writer, can do is do the providing of the context. Right, because it is often not written in the game, and it's not evident if you don't know, right? At least as a director, those are the questions I end up asking a lot, right? Like, what just happened, right? What is the relationship here? Now, if I've been on the production for a while, then of course I begin to remember it. But initially, and some of the times I've been called in as part of a team of directors. And so somebody else is the lead director that has like the whole overall thing. And I come in and do like a session here and a session there. And then I'm really cold. Right? Like I have no idea what's going on. I may just know the genre and the setting, and that's about it. And then I'm completely actually dependent on that developer representative to give good, precise, contextual information so that the actor can do exactly what they do, right? But they don't need to be told emotions usually, right? Or intentions, unless it's really not clear in the writing and we have to make it up. Right, we have to make it up so that it sounds like a human being speaking and not just a person reading a line.
Mm-hmm. One more question.
Thank you,
Emily. Okay, we're over time. Awesome.
We've just gone over time. Thank you, team.
Thank you, team.